Hello and welcome to the Get Real Football Experts Podcast. I'm your host, DB Sports Talk, Louis DB. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah, that's right. I'm putting my plug in already at the beginning. Obviously, this is the schedule rundown, so I'm not joined by Dave Crest Sports. Last time I did the Minnesota Vikings, and I had them going 7-9. So we're going to go over to the Detroit Lions. By the way, Dave will be doing the Packers and the Bears. So I had the Detroit Lions Week 1. They're home against the Minnesota Vikings. I have them winning this game at 1-0. They're going to start off great. I think they're really going to go after the young corners for the Minnesota Vikings, including Xavier Rhodes. I think Calvin Johnson's going to have a big game here, as well as Reggie Bush, who the Vikings had a hard time containing running backs last year. So I think they're going to start off at 1-0. You know, it's going to be, these division wins are going to be huge in this NFC with how packed it is. It's really important that they get these wins, and I think starting off in a division game, I think it's a big win. I listened to the Dave Damashek football program podcast, and he was talking about this, and I kind of agree. Why are the division games week 1 already? I mean, some of the most important games are week 1. I don't really like that. I mean, you're still going to see me in front of the television watching the football games, even if the games aren't as important. I mean, I think these division games need to be saved. I like the Week 17 ones, which bring down to such suspense. But I think it's like before the bye week or a big time division game. I think that's where it needs to be. But I think they're going to get this win against the Vikings at 1-0. So they go Week 2 at the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is a win as well, and go 2-0, get a tough win on the road against an improving Cardinals team who traded for Carson Palmer as their quarterback. But losing Darrell Washington as a linebacker is a tough spot, and I think this is where Reggie Bush has a big game. So I think they're going to get this win and move to 2-0. I mean, they're not going to have their defensive line is struggling, but I think Sue's going to be able to handle what Rashard Mendenhall is going to bring at him in that struggling Cardinals line. I think this might be where Ziggy Ansah really makes the Cardinals vulnerable, but hey, they drafted Jonathan Cooper in the first round out of UNC, the Cardinals did, so that might make Sue struggle because that's a good athletic guard. So Week 3, they are at the Washington Redskins. Maybe RG3's playing here with that ACL injury. Maybe he's not. I'm not very sure if he's going to. You never know, though, with RG3. I think he'll be back by Week 1, and I'm going to give this one a win. I think the Lions are going to start off stellar at 3-0. Look, they're becoming a balanced. I mean, their offense, they got Riley Reef last year, offensive tackle out of Iowa, who was a productive guy in his rookie year. Got to stay on the field. Doesn't have many injury concerns, but you never know. With this running back tandem of Mikel Shore and Reggie Bush, hey, with Calvin Johnson, this offense can be very dynamic, and I think they get a win here at 3-0 in a shootout, which is what I think it'll be. So Week 4, another close division rival game. They're at home against the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to lose this game for their first of the season and go 3-1. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. Even though it is at home, I think Jay Cutler and Matt Forte are going to be a lot for this Lions defense, who really, it went from being a very good defense in the past couple of years to one of the worst. Honestly, their secondary is a mess, even though they did get Darius Slay, the corner out of Mississippi State. That's a good signing, but I just don't think it's enough. And for Brandon Marshall, I think he's going to have a very big game, and I think the Lions will drop to 3-1 going into Week 5, where they're away at one of the toughest stadiums to play, Lambeau Field. It is Week 5. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if it's snowing by now in Lambeau. No? Maybe. You never know. So I think they're going to lose this game at 3 and then drop to 3-2. Look, these division games are really going to be tough. With 2 back-to-back divisions games, we've got to go on the road to a tough team in Green Bay. I just think it's too much to handle, and I think, again, it's the defense. I think Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson have the potential to shoot out with these guys. I just don't think they're going to have enough. I don't think the defense is going to be able to get a stop when it comes down to it. They need to stop Rodgers. Just don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be a close game, though, don't get me wrong. I think this Lions team is going to be a 4-win team like last year, much better than the record showed last year. So, Week 6, they are heading into Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns, I think, are going to win this game and improve to 4-2. Like I said in the previous video against the Minnesota Vikings, they have a lot. The Browns still have a long way to go. They got a franchise running back in Trent Richardson, my fantasy guy, love the guy. But the quarterback position, when you draft a guy in the first round last year, Brandon Weeden out of Oklahoma State, that's 29 years old? 29 years old for a second-year player. Really? I don't think so. I think if they had the chance, they should have traded back up to get Geno or EJ Manuel, who they really liked. what's his name? The new coach of the Cleveland Browns was formerly of the Carolina Panthers, who has had Cam Newton. So hey, maybe they could have got a mobile guy like that. But I think the Lions are gonna win this game. The corner's gonna be busy. Joe Hayden's gonna be very busy against Calvin Johnson. But with Barkevius Mingo and Paul Kruger, I think the Lions it's going to be tough to run the football, and I think this is one of those games where they air it out. Losing Sheldon Brown, the Browns didn't really address their corner need in the draft. I thought they would have went D. Milner, but I think the Lions could take advantage of this and get a win and go improve to 4-2. Heading into Week 7, they are home against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to give this one a loss. I think they're going to drop to 4-3. Two similar teams in which they got a quarterback receiver duo that's one of the most dynamic in the league. Very young as well. Matt Stafford, the first overall pick in the 2009 draft out of Georgia, and obviously you got Calvin Johnson and Andy Dalton and AJ Green. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I really like to see which one's going to outduel the other. Both solid running attacks, not stellar, but solid. Both got a tandem of lightning and thunder and lightning with Reggie Bush and Mikel Ashore, as well as Giovanni Bernard, BenJarvus, Green Ellis. I think it's going to be fun. I think they're very even teams. I think the Bengals defense does have the edge, and that is the concern for the Lions this year. I know I'm going to get criticism like I always do, but I think this is going to be a loss. I think it's going to come down to one stop, and I think that's going to come down to the defense of the Cincinnati Bengals, so the Lions will drop to 4-3 heading into Week 8. By the way, sticking on the Bengals real fast, the Lions know they have a franchise guy, Matt Stafford, but the Bengals really believe Andy Dalton's the future. Is he their franchise? Well, we'll talk about that in the schedule rundown in the Bengals edition, but it's interesting to always talk about with Matt Stafford, a former first overall pick, taking him on. I think it's going to be a fun young quarterback battle. So, Week 8, they take on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan. I think they're going to lose this game. I think they're going to go 4-4. It's a tough game. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be competing for the playoffs like a lot of the NFC teams. I think the Lions don't match up well corner-wise here. I think with Dez Bryant, Jason Witten, Miles Austin, if he's healthy, knock on wood. Just kidding, I want him to get hurt. Sorry, Austin. You're not my fantasy guy, and you're not my fan guy. So I think they're going to... But I think the Cowboys are going to... just their passing attack is just going to be too much for the Lions. Another shootout, but again, I'm going to keep bringing this up because this is a tough situation for the defense. Ziggy Ansah's a raw player, and Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley really hasn't panned out what they will expect him to be, but hey, it's only 2 years in, so you gotta give the guy a chance. But so heading into the bye at Week 9, they are at 4-4. Another tough schedule. Look, this NFC North division is a tough schedule. So going into Week 10, they are at Soldier Field, one of the toughest places to play against the Chicago Bears. Going to eke out a tough win. Not going to be passing. They're going to be grounded and pounded with Mikel Ashore. I think it's going to be one of those games where the Lions D steps up. I think the Chicago Bears, the Lions and Bears are very evenly matched. I think both got a very good quarterback and a elite receiver. But I think it's going to split. I just don't think the Bears are going to sweep the Lions. I think if the Lions want to have a chance of making the playoffs, they got to beat these division teams, which they've struggled to do the past years. So I think they're going to win this game and go to 5-4. Heading into Week 11, they're going to go to Heinz Ketchup Field against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to have this a win. At 6-4, I really think this is going to be another one of those close games where the Lions need to win. But I think it comes down to offense. And with Ben Roethlisberger running around the field, their offensive line seems to be coming back intact. But losing Mike Wallace is a huge hit. And with Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders, I think the Lions will catch a break here. The running game's kind of a question for the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell. I just think the Lions match up very well on offense. Really, I think they're going to Ike Taylor's going to have a tough time with Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson's going to be the key to this Lions' success. I think if he can continue to have those yards. I mean, last year he almost had 2,000 yards. Just got to get those touchdowns up. 2 years ago he had 16, last year 5. Not sure if that was because of Matt Stafford or what, but heading in the stretch, he only had he had 0 touchdowns in the first 5 weeks. Kind of a concern, but not anymore to me. I still think he's going to be elite and get the win at 6-4 heading into Week 12, where they're taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Loss. I think it's going to be a surprising one. I think the Buccaneers are going to compete this year. They got a okay quarterback in Josh Freeman. They got a good defense. They really dressed. Darrelle Revis. That's going to be a fun matchup, I'm going to tell you that. Darrelle Revis versus Calvin Johnson, that's a good one. That's going to be a fun battle to watch, and I think Darrelle Revis is going to get the advantage here, and I think Doug Martin's really going to take advantage of this weak defensive line of the Detroit Lions. If you haven't told by now, I really don't like the Lions' defensive line. I think Ndamukong Suh has become from one of the best linemen in the league to one of the dirtiest players in the league, if not the dirtiest. Nick Fairley's kind of a bust, in my opinion. The character issues just is too much to handle, and he's had some injury problems. And Ziggy Ansah gave the kid a chance, but he only played football for 1 year at a starter in Division I college at BYU. So I think the Bucs are going to win this game, and the Lions will fall to 6-5. So heading into Week 13, they're going to take a home tough matchup against the Green Bay Packers, and yes, they win. The Green Bay Packers have fallen to the Detroit Lions. When was the last time that happened? Actually, probably not too long ago, but I just can't name it off the top of my head. But I mean, this is going to be a tough game. Again, it's going to be an offensive battle. Both defenses are weaker than most teams in the NFL. One of the two bad defenses. I think it's going to be fun to watch. But I think at home, this is a huge game for the Lions if they want to sniff the playoffs. And I think they're going to improve to 7-5. They got to win these games. I mean, I have them splitting against the Bears. I have them splitting against the Packers because that's what they got to do. And that's truly what I believe that they can do with Schwartz at the wheel. So Week 14, they're away at Lincoln Financial Field against the Philadelphia Eagles, and I give this one a loss. The Lions got the better of the Eagles last year in an overtime game. The very memorable Nate Burleson catch in the end zone over Nnamdi Asomugha. What a catch, by the way! Gruesome for me, but I think the Eagles are going to get the best of him here. I think they're going to get some revenge. Another game, going back to last video episode, where the Vikings face the Eagles. These last games are going to be deciding what that last and final 6th wildcard spot is, unless the Lions compete for the division. With my record right now, if they lose this game, they'll be 7-6. Don't see it happening. So I'm going to have them going into Week 15 at 7-6. Home against the Super Bowl champs, Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to lose this game. I think the Ravens are really improved. Honestly, I think they're improved last year. They got younger on defense. The only thing is that offense. They didn't address the tackle position or the receiver position, so now you got Jacoby Jones moving to the outside. Well, even though Bolden played the slot most of the time, but he's your number 2 guy now. I think they're going to get a win here. I think the Lions... Matt Stafford's really going to have a tough time with Terrell Suggs and Ellis Dumervil. You have Riley Reif on one side, but who's going to guard Suggs and Dumervil? This is probably, to me, the best dynamic pass rushing duo in the league. It was last year, to me, Von Miller and Dumervil. And that's switching over to Terrell Suggs, former Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, Ravens are gonna pull this game out, and I think it's gonna be a very good game, full of offense and defense. Because you know what, I think the Lions' defense knows they're gonna have to step it up in the end if they have any chance of making the playoffs. Because these high-powered offenses on the NFC teams, you just can't have a defense that can't cover the receivers and can't stop the football. Linebacker is the Lions' strength. I really like Stefan Tulloch. He's a veteran guy who gets a lot of tackles and is a good player. So, I mean, he's going to be vital in this to stop Ray Rice in this game. And I don't think they do it, though. Drop to 7-7. It's interesting to see where these teams in the NFC pan out. And the fans of the teams obviously know that this year it's going to be tough to get in the playoffs. Am I expecting the Lions to get in the playoffs? Well, we'll see. I'll finish this up, but how many teams out of the NFC North do you think are going to make the playoffs? Put that under this channel. Put it in the comments. Rate and share as well as advertising my show. So, yeah, send me how many teams you think are going to make it in the NFC North, because you could argue that 3 could make it there, but you could also argue that 3 in the NFC West, 3 in the North. You could argue 3 for any division. That's how stacked it is. There is, honestly, I think every single team in the NFC has a potential to make the playoffs except for the Arizona Cardinals. That's a bold statement. I'm saying it right now. I think every team, let's go over it. Eagles, Giants, Redskins, Cowboys. Right now on paper, they all have potential to make the playoffs. NFC North, Vikings, Packers, Bears, and Lions. All potential to make the playoffs. All have playoff experience. NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, Seattle Seahawks, St. Louis Rams, all improved. The Arizona Cardinals, yeah, I don't think there's a chance. And then the NFC South, okay, let's minus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I think they're gonna struggle this year. Mike Glennon might come in. You never know. They did push Josh Freeman here with this pick, but I mean the Saints and the Panthers. I mean the Lions. It's gonna be tough for them to fit in where they fit into this big picture, but it all comes down to the division. You gotta win the division games. I can't stress that enough how important that is. So going into Week 16, they face the New York Giants. Former Super Bowl champions of 2011. A tough game, really. I think they're going to take the win, though. Yes, they're going to take the win. They will improve to 8-7 and keep their playoff hopes alive. Maybe. Well, we never know. So I think they're going to take this win. Eli versus Stafford, good matchup. Receivers very good, but I think the Giants' corners are one of the weakest in the league, and I don't think Webster or any Aaron Ross now is back as the Giants can cover Calvin, can contain him. And by the way, I haven't mentioned the tight ends of the Lions yet. Brandon Pettigrew is a very good player as well. And losing Michael Boley, the linebacker of the Giants, who's going to cover Brandon Pettigrew? They didn't address him in the draft. I thought they would have went Alec Ogletree. But that didn't happen, so I think the Lions are going to pull out a win here. Keep it alive at 8-7, go into Week 17. Win and have a chance at the Minnesota Vikings, at the University of Minnesota field. By the way, I think it's awesome that the Vikings are playing in the weather to see how they can play because, honestly, everyone's saying, yeah, these turf teams, these what is the name? These dome teams. Yeah, dome. How did I forget dome? These dome teams, they're not the same. And I'd really like to see how the Vikings do. I think it's really going to be on Adrian Peterson. And I think the Lions are going to lose the game. Yes, I think the Vikings are going to have all the momentum at the last game of the year. Going to play spoiler here. The Lions will drop to 8-8. They're going to split against the Vikings, split against the Packers, and split against the Bears. Because, hey, that's what they got to do. And I believe it, and I think this division is good enough where every team can get at least a win on each team in the division, and they will go, let's see, 8-8, and they will go 4-4 to the division, I believe. Not sure. I don't feel like doing math right now, right? It's May. I'm waiting for the schedules. I'm waiting for this season to get going, and hopefully we provide you with some good videos while it's the off season, and that's going to do it. The Lions finish off at 8-8. Don't think they make the playoffs here, but we'll see that in the division standings videos. Thank you for joining me here on Get Real Football Podcast Schedule Rundown Edition. The Detroit Lions. Follow me at DB Sports Talk for the latest updates on football. I'm a Thunder guy, though, for basketball. Eagles, football, fantasy, everything you can think of. Check out Dave at Dave Crest Sports. Check out our articles at Get Real Football. Dave's an NFL guy. I'm a fantasy guy. And go to our YouTube page and subscribe to us, youtube.com/NFL Experts. And it's been real.